School lockdown. It happened in 2014 in November. I'm a senior in high school and graduating soon this year. I remember feeling dreadful and not wanting to go to school because somehow I knew that something bad was going to happen. After arguing with myself to whether or not to go to school and texting my friends, I decided to go to my mom and tell her I won't be going to school since we will only watch movies and eat free food given by the teacher. I finally convinced her and I went to sleep. Two of my friends also told me that they're not going to school. Then I received a text message from my dad and friends that came from the school. It says, "The school is on lockdown. All students and staff are to remain inside the class. The police are on their way. A student is allegedly threatening all the staff with a weapon in hand. This is normal for me. The school lockdowns when there's trouble. It happens twice in 5 years. At first, my school wasn't as bad as it is right now. We had a student council, and we look up to them and they regulate school rules, and are always the ones to stop the fights or anything that will harm the students. This was in 2011 and 2012, when the seniors who were all part of the school council graduated. Things went bad, everything went bad, as in bad. My school was suddenly reported for drug deals, fights inside the school, my school wanting to fight another school, and bomb threats. I can recall events where police was escorting a student a year below mine. I was in grade 10, so this wasn't anything that's surprising except the last sentence. I read it again and again to make sure I'm reading it right, and I was. The next day, my friends who were at school told me what happened. Apparently a guy who's 6 feet tall went on rampage when a teacher told him off for not doing his work and not graduating. The creepy thing, though, was that he's the same year as me. I often saw him in school and he looks harmless. He broke the school's windows in the 700 block, went to the cooking class, and grabbed a kitchen knife as a weapon, and threatened everyone that he'll kill them. They called the police and made students go to their classes, and remained in class until the police gets into the school. Fortunately, they were brave students and knew how to defend themselves, and decided to imprison the student in a closet taller than him. A student kicked the knife away from his hand, and they pushed him into the closet and locked it until the police arrived. I don't know what happened after that. There are rumors that he was put on jail, suspended, expelled, and went on to another school. It's a good thing I wasn't there. Many times my instinct has saved me from danger, and this is one of those that I won't forget. To Lucky, who's as tall as a bamboo, let's never meet again. My school lockdown story. A little information so you can get a feel of a few things. This happened a few years ago in the 8th grade. I was 13 years old at the time, being one of the youngest in my class. Even though I was the youngest kid there, I was also one of the tallest males there. Now, on to what happened. It was around fall at the time, so it was quite chilly outside. I walked to school with one of my closest friends. Let's call her Miranda. So Miranda and I got to the school with our fingers, nose, and toes all frozen up, but nevertheless, it was a normal day. Once I entered my classroom and sat down at my desk, waiting for the rest of the class to file in, one of the jocks of the school, let's call him Ryan, started talking loudly about a rumor that someone threatened to bomb the high school yesterday, and they went down on lockdown. He was talking with his best friend Trey. Trey quietly nodded and said he had heard about it too. I guess I was out of the loop then. Everyone but 2 or 3 people came into class that day, and after hearing the rumors, the atmosphere turned tense. All the students, at least in the 8th grade hallway, shuffled to their classes at random spaces in the hall, with hushed whispers as conversations, all anticipating a lockdown of our own. It was nearing the end of the day, and we all began to feel a bit lighter, as we had only about an hour of school left, and nothing suspicious had went down. I was on my way to math along with the rest of my class. I was walking with my 2 best friends. These aren't their real names, this is for their privacy. Tina and Abigail. We entered the math class and sat at our desk, which had been placed right next to each other. It was about 10 minutes in when the assistant principal came into our room and told us we needed to evacuate the trailers because of a small chemical leak in the janitor's closet. Great, back into the cold we go, is what I remember saying to myself under my breath as we packed away our binders and pencils. On the way to the trailers, I thought I was hearing things when I heard a small buzzing noise coming from the school. I realized I wasn't imagining things when half of the 8th grade turned around to look at the school as the other half booked it to the trailers. I was one of the people who turned to look at the school. I heard our female principal's voice over the loudspeaker saying, "Lockdown, lockdown, lockdown, code blue." Code blue. Code blue meant this was not a drill. Code yellow is a drill. I turned around as quick as I could, pushed my bag straps up my shoulders more, and ran as fast as a 5'9" kid could go. I was one of the last to enter my class's assigned trailer, and the teacher, at that moment, was rushing some of us into the small single bathroom, and the smaller kids of the class and other students who accidentally came to the wrong room into the back, near the cabinets and behind her large desk. I made eye contact with Tina first, as I couldn't find Abigail, and quickly asked her where Abby was. She didn't know, but as she told me this, she looked behind me with thankful eyes, and I heard the voice of Abigail say my name. I turned to hug her before they both crouched down and crawled to the closet, as the teacher instructed them to do so. I was struck with fear, as many of my classmates were. I was too tall to be placed behind a desk or in the closet. I despised being separated from my friends and being unable to protect them if someone were to come in, actually. I was always there to protect them, and that's why nobody ever messed with them. I was pushed into the bathroom, and right behind me came in the teacher, who closed and locked the door. She told us in a not-so-calm manner to sit down and to not say a word. There wasn't much room to sit, so Ryan, being only 5 foot at the time, sat himself down on Trey's lap to make a little more room. I switched on my phone and was blinded by the bright white light as I checked the time. I vividly remember it being about 2 hours later, 3:24. We still had yet to get any calls of it being safe to come out, but a little before, I heard distant sirens of police cars. I'm guessing that they're still inspecting the grounds. A few of us asked if we could go get up and stretch, or use the bathroom or something like that. The answer to both of these questions was a no, a strict no. Ryan was getting upset, and I myself could understood. It was hot and cramped in there. Someone knocked loudly on the door of the trailer. Only 30 minutes later, a few girls next to me whimpered, and one, I think her name was Alyssa, grabbed onto my arm. I looked over, and Ryan was crushing Trey in a strong grip. I could have laughed if I wasn't scared shitless. My eyes widened slightly as the teacher got up slowly and as quietly as possible to check on the others. Another loud knock versus was heard. Thump, thump, thump. The teacher cracked the door open slightly, a pretty dumb move that could have gotten us all killed. But that thought subsided as a gruff voice said, "It's safe. This is Officer Garrison with the North Carolina Police Department." I let out a loud sigh of relief as Ryan jumped up and over my legs and burst through the bathroom door at that moment. He took a look through the blinds to make sure it was a police officer, and luckily it was. Miss Thomas invited him in as the rest of the class came out from their hiding places, all looking very thankful. As the officer began to speak to our class, I looked towards a closet and held my arms out as Tina and Abby flung themselves into my embrace. I kept one arm around each of their shoulders as I started listening to what was being said. There was a report of a suspicious person outside of school grounds, and that is what was told to your school, along with the elementary and high school. We did a long scan of all schools and found nothing. We sent a message to all parents telling them you are all safe and that they may now come to get you. Please report back to your class and follow on what to do from there. I could have kissed the guy. That is how thankful I was. All of us, still shaken, all got back to our classes and grabbed our things. We all had been picked up by our parents. Some were even crying for the safety of their child. I am now in high school and am still really close friends with Abigail and Tina. I think that experience brought us closer together, to be honest. A few days ago, a question about who the suspicious person was came about, which made this story come to mind. We had never been told if the person was ever caught. Some said it was an old teacher or the school mascot preparing for the basketball games that was supposed to happen that night. Others believed it was someone planning on murdering those who crossed their path on the walk to class or to home. I'm just grateful that everyone was okay, and that who it was is left to question. Red lockdown. It started out as a normal morning. My friends and I talked and waited for a tribe teacher. For those who haven't heard of tribe, it's a class kind of like a study hall, but you have exact days where you do homework, read, have gym time, or just chat with friends. I mentally groaned when I remember today was a special occasion where if you had paid your book fines, you could go to the gym. I'd forgot to pay my fine and was sent to the library to read. I didn't mind. The book I was reading was very interesting, and I prefer the quiet over a loud gym, but it would have been nice to see my friends. The other students and I took our seats at the tables. After a while of reading, the principal came over the intercom and told us something like red lockdown. Red lockdown meant it was very serious and that we needed to act quickly. While the other kids scrambled to where the librarian said to go, I sighed and closed my book. I noticed another girl in my grade was looking scared. She asked something like, "Is it okay if I stay with you?" I shrugged and said sure. We went into the tiny back room and sat down, her practically halfway sitting on my lap. I awkwardly sat with all the people crowded around me. The two librarians came in and, of course, decided to sit right in front of me, making me feel like I was squashed in a cage. The only thought going through my mind was, get this over with already. After 20 minutes or so, the principal said it was safe to come out. All of us were curious as to what had happened, but the principal wouldn't tell us anything. Later on, I found out what happened. At the high school a few blocks away, a student had brought a gun to school. He had family issues, and when he came to school, he had got a girlfriend. She ended up breaking up with him, and he brought a gun to school the next day. It was said he planned to do one of two things. One was to kill himself in front of his girlfriend, and the other was to kill his girlfriend and then himself. It was later found out that he had been doing it just to get attention, but very disturbing nonetheless. My neighbor, who actually went to school with him, said the guy was walking right behind him, and he never thought anything of it. The more unnerving part is that he said the classroom doors had been unlocked the whole time, and he wasn't informed about what was going on until the student had been arrested. As far as I know, he's in jail right now, and won't be getting out anytime soon. So, student who brought a gun to school, even though I've never met you personally, let's never meet.